Hello, beautiful people. This is Eleni and Caryn.
Hello.
Hello. And this is episode 2 of Soul Sisters Get Real. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about our life's purpose. It's something that comes up a lot with our communities and the people that we speak to is, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I need to find out. I need to ask someone what my purpose is. Someone else is going to tell me. And it's an interesting topic, and I know that both Caryn and I, although we're always on the same page, we've always got a different spin on, our own experience. And so what we thought we would do in this episode is we would each share our own story about finding our purpose, and then at the end of this session, we're going to give you some tips and techniques about connecting in with yours. And so if you find these episodes really helpful and you resonate with us, because it's all about who do you resonate with, please hit subscribe. And this is something that we're going to bring to you every single week, a different topic every single week. We don't sit there planning it all out. It's just all coming from our heart. And it is about getting real. It is about us, the Soul Sisters, getting real. Me from Australia and Caryn from Wisconsin in the United States. And so tell me, Caryn, in terms of your experience with purpose, tell me about how you connected to yours.
I would love to. Before I do that, I did want to mention, and we mentioned this in the first one, but I think it's important that we say that the reason that we are doing this is because you and I have had the most amazing conversations together. And you said to me, maybe it was a month or so ago, why are we not sharing these with the world? Why are we not sharing the conversations that we're having about life with the world? So I'm super excited to be here with you, and we get to just talk, like you said, no structure, just talk about our lives and
just be real. Just be real.
Just be real. Just be real.
I'm glad that you actually brought that up, because, as to why we're doing this, because, the world is craving authenticity and realness. And that's why Caryn and I don't sit there and go, okay, you say this then, and then I'll say this. Like, I really don't even know what Caryn's going to say. And she doesn't know what I'm going to say. In fact, I don't even know what I'm going to say. It's just going to be all organic in terms of what's going to be, what feels right, what's coming out of my mouth. But we've had very, very similar experiences, but experienced in two different parts of the world. And we just want to share everything that we're going through with the world. And yes.
All right. So to answer the question about our soul's path, our soul's mission, God's path, our journey, right? It's all the same. I find, and I know you have, Eleni, because you mentioned this too. We're both hypnotherapists, and many clients come in and they want to know, what is my soul's purpose? How do I figure out my soul's purpose? And there are things we can do, because you and I both know that our higher self knows. Our higher self, our wisdom, our all-knowing, that knows our purpose, although we don't always know here on this earth, this ego self. And I first started, and what I believe is that we can know our soul's purpose, and it may change, and that's okay too. Because what I think is my soul's purpose, my path may change, and I get to surrender and trust and allow that whatever is happening is for me and my soul and the learnings that I came here for. And I would say it started about 5 or 6 years ago. I was at a conference, a hypnosis conference in Chicago, the Mid-America Hypnosis Conference, and Karen Carrera was there doing the soul, I think it was a soul entrancement is what she called it. And she was doing a session where we got to go into hypnosis ourselves and practice. And at the time I had some foster girls prior to that, and I knew that I wanted to do something with foster children and orphanages. And we went back in this hypnotic state, and I learned that my soul's purpose was to travel to countries, specifically Africa, and share a lot of money and love with orphans and connect my two prior foster girls with that, so that they could also learn that there are many children in the world that don't have parents, and it's okay and it's beautiful and we can love them and we can share with them. And I started with that. And I knew that what I was doing in my life was because I got to create millions so that I could do that. That's like one of my top soul's purpose. And then, as you know, my life took a bit of a turn. And my son, our son, passed away in a motorcycle accident. And at the time, it was devastating. And I started to, through, like we talked about, I started to, through friends and colleagues and learnings and quieting my mind, connecting with him. And the journey started. And I'd heard from a few people, wow, the way you're handling this, you should write a book. And it was always this little piece of my mind. I thought, what am I going to write about? I don't really know. And as my journey continued, it's been 2.5 years now since he passed away. And I've created a very close, what I feel is a very close relationship with him. And I have a knowing that he and I get to write a book together. And I know that my soul's purpose is now to help others that have lost children heal with this book and find joy again and connect with their loved ones on the other side and know that they're not gone. Because, you and I have had this conversation so many times that he's right there with me. In fact, I was talking to a business coach who's in my leadership training today, and we were talking about how everything gets in the way, right? We let all the noise around us stop us from what we know our true soul's purpose is. And it is a challenge to know your soul's purpose, because so many people want to, but when you do, and then figure out the trust and allow, so you can allow your life to do that, right? And I was telling him, I get to make space to be an author. I get to make space to connect with him and make this happen and channel what he wants me to write into this book. And I hear him saying to me, I pull cards, I hear his direction to me is, everything is set up for you, Mom. What are you waiting for? And I continue to hear, everything is set up for you. What are you waiting for? And I know, I have a knowing this is what we get to do together. So my soul's purpose is to write this book, become a bestseller, and get out there and help others, thousands and thousands of others, move through the journey of losing a child and still connect with them and feel that relationship still.
Beautiful. When you were saying that, the last bit about everything is set up for you, Mum, what are you waiting for? I just got the full goosebumps all over my body, because it's in the setting up phase, that's often a really difficult, challenging time. And we don't realize that it's actually setting you up for a later time.
Yes.
So in that, like, everything is set up for you now, Mum, is like, okay, but what did you have to do to set things up for yourself? Like, you had to go through a challenging time with your divorce. You had to, heal, and you're still healing from the passing of your son. There's all these things that have happened, which at the time feel like it's the worst thing in the world. But this is all setting the stage for why you're here.
Yes.
And so when we're going through the stuff, we don't realize that there is meaning in this stuff. It's just that we can't see the higher perspective. So, for me, in terms of my purpose, it's about connecting to who I am. I really feel that the reason that we're all here is for the same purpose, but we all have different expressions. So I believe that we're all here because there's no accidents and no coincidences that we're here. Like, we're all here for the same reason. And what is that reason? To raise consciousness on the planet as to who we really all are, which is, a divine spark of God source, of light. And for us to realize who we are at our core, our magnificence. And it's shining our light and shining our love in different ways. So for you, your purpose is shining your light on people that have experienced what you've experienced because you've gone through it. And by doing that, you're assisting in the ultimate purpose, which is to raise consciousness on earth. So I believe that we're all here for that reason, but we all express it in a different way. Because think about it, you know, from your perspective, Caryn, like there are so many teachers teaching the same topic, but who do you resonate with? It's not all of them. There's some that you can't listen to, even though they're saying the same thing as someone else. And that's why we're all here, because we've all got a different voice and we've all got a different unique quality. Like for me, you know, it started for me experiencing depression in the late 90s. And then I thought my purpose was about helping people realize that they are not the depression, they are not the anxiety, they are so much more than that. And that's how I got into hypnotherapy and opened my first hypnotherapy clinic. And then, as you said, it changes. So the specifics change, but overall it's the same. So the little niche that you're working in changes as you grow and as you evolve, but overall we're doing the same work. And so then it changed from, you know, oh, I love helping adolescents who are depressed, and that's who I can really connect to. And then it changed to helping men who are experiencing depression. And then it helped to helping hypnotherapists get out of their own way and open up their business and be the leader that they're supposed to be. And now I'm feeling like my purpose is all about unity consciousness, and it's all about the sharing with the world that we are not separate, that we think we are, but we're all from the same thing. So just like the wave of the ocean connects to the ocean, the wave is not by itself. We're not on our own. And it's this division and this separateness that brings up all the trauma and all the suffering that we have, because we think we're separate. We think we're better than, we think we're less than, we think we are not everyone else. And so for me, you know, where I am now in terms of my specific purpose is to really help people understand who they are at their core, which is not really different to what I was doing when I first started hypnotherapy. It's just a different way of speaking about it and a different way of presenting it. But really, that's what we've done this whole time as hypnotherapists, is helping people connect to who they really are at their core. And so I would suggest that rather than looking for purpose, like, what is my purpose? What is it? What is it? Your purpose will reveal itself to you by just being you.
Yes. And open to it. Open to what are the signs? What lights me up? Right? Yeah. Interesting too is, you know, like we said, is our paths change. It's not like overnight you just get this light bulb, bing, this is what I'm going to do. It's a journey as we move through it and stay open to it. And like you, I was just thinking the other day, it's interesting because it's been 2.5 years since my son passed away. And just now, well, just before, so the end of this year, we just finished with the courts, and it was a drunk driver that ran into him, and his, you know, what he was being tried with, and it was grueling. And it held, like, every time we had to have a Zoom meeting around it or something came up, it was like another stab in the heart. And there was this piece of, not yet, I can't move on yet until this is complete. And so it's this journey, like you said, as you were saying, it doesn't just pop in. It's this journey of growth and learning, and then a knowing that my job on this earth, as yours is to raise the consciousness, is to help others love themselves, is to open up to this massive universe of everything we have, and in abundance and love. And the only way that we can do that is to help people learn how to move through grief and love themselves and open up to everything that is available for us here in this earth. Beautiful. So I would love to hear from you, Eleni, you know, part of your journey. And I know that you started to awaken to the universal love and the spiritual realm, I guess if we could call it for a lack of everything that is, it was shortly after your father passed away, correct? It wasn't before, it was after. And it's that question of, when this happens, someone that we love so dearly, we start to say, there's got to be something else. They have to be somewhere. And how can I continue to have a relationship with them? Correct? Is that what your journey was, similar to that?
And I just want to say, because it's brand new. So just yesterday, and this got me so emotional yesterday. I didn't realize that it would. I actually got his signature on my pulse.
I saw that there and I was wondering.
That's his Greek signature. And I didn't realize it would be so emotional, actually. But my dad was someone who always signed. You know, some people love signing. So my dad, if he had a piece of paper in front of him, he would do his signature all the time. Like, he just loved doing his signature, and I love watching him do it. And just to have that on me, on my pulse,
Beautiful.
It's just, it just gives me so much happiness just to have him right there. But yes, it really, when you lose someone that you love, it really helps you to focus on what's really important and what really doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's, when I look at my dad's life, I really felt like he did it right, in the sense that we can't do it wrong because we're all on a different journey, but he really put his effort and energy into what matters, not into what doesn't. And even though they were migrants from another country coming to Australia in 1965 in the worst cabin of the ship, which was underwater, and they had nothing when they came, and they arrived here with 4 children. I was the only one born here in Australia. I never heard them complain or talk about money, ever. Like, never. We were the family that every single weekend we would have everybody come to our place. There would be music, there would be dancing. My parents would put on the drinks and the food every weekend. We were that's how I grew up, with dancing, with singing, with connection. And I never even heard them by themselves say, oh, we can't afford to do that next weekend, or we can't afford to, ever. Like, that is something that never came into and it's because they never thought of it like that. They never saw money as something that they couldn't spend on what mattered, ever. It was always about relationships. He invested, and my mum invested, and they still do, that there's nothing more important than relationships. And that's what I feel when I say, like, at the end of the day, when he was going, he didn't take anything with him, but he had so much love, so much love that the world had given to him, and that's because he gave it to the world. And so, yeah, definitely in terms of focus of what's important, and part of the awakening process was definitely the passing of my father, was like a huge part for me. And obviously for you as well, in terms of the passing of your son, is we really, it shakes us into what really matters, what's important. Is it your bank balance? Is that really important? Like, what are you striving for? And the less that we focus on that concern about what's in our bank balance, the more that just takes care of itself.
It's so true.
Because, like you said, we focus on the joy. And so I think that's important, Caryn, in terms of what you said earlier, which is, with purpose, joy and purpose is completely interrelated, because when we're going along this path in terms of what we're here to do, because we've all come here with a blueprint of what we're here to do. We've all come here with a blueprint. And how we know we go off track is because it just doesn't feel good. It feels, I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't know why it's bringing in the money, but it just doesn't feel good. We're going off track. And so when we get back on track, it feels good. Like we said, speaking to each other feels good. Every time that you had said to me, let's catch up, I never said, oh no, I really can't. I've got too many things to do because I love talking to you. And we went like, okay, this feels so good. Let's do this. Let's share this.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
part of our purpose, is sharing
Yes.
what we experience.
Yeah. And I'd like to speak into that quickly because I'm sure there's people that are on here that are watching this that are thinking it's easy for you to say. It's easy for you to say, I have the money struggles, I have the money trouble, I can't afford to pay. And yes, it's difficult. And what I've learned is even when there is an abundance of money, or even when you are comfortable, there is still the money story. And the money story is, it's a struggle that many people go through, but it's that scarcity story, right? And when we let go of the scarcity and we check what you were saying, we check with the gut and we check with our heart and we say, is this serving me? Am I enjoying this? We get to really, when we listen to that, there is money, so many opportunities for money, so many opportunities. But when we stand in fear of not having enough, right, that's when we hold on so tight that we don't allow that flow. And so it is about, and I've been in many phases as you have, there's money flowing and then there's that scarcity phase. And it's working through that and constantly knowing that if I check my gut and my heart and I'm loving what I do, it comes to you. It's that flow, right?
Yeah. I heard a story yesterday about that. What a spiritual teacher, Aaron Abke, was saying that it's like, so you've got $10 and that's all you've got. That's all you've got is $10. And you really don't want to let go of the $10 because this is all you've got. But the universe comes up to you and says, well, if you give me the $10, I've got unlimited amount of money here. So are you open to that? But you have to let that go in order for you to receive this. And it's that trust in that it needs to flow. So when you're feeling that something is resonating with you and when you're feeling like your heart is touched, that's your signal from the universe to go with it, to not let yourself be scared that I can't afford it. But what if? And then be a prisoner to your own thoughts, your own mind, your own ecosystem. It's about just trusting that once you do that, you will get rewarded in ways that you cannot possibly imagine. Because the thing is that if you're able to listen to this YouTube station, you're okay. You're okay. Even if you think that you're not, you are okay financially. And do you have somewhere that you're safe today? Have you got a roof over your head? Many people don't in the world, but do you at this moment? And so therefore you're okay. And we think that we're not okay, but we are. Because what we think we actually need is a lot more than what we actually do need. So going back to purpose, in terms of, if we could give some hows, in terms of, I know that I followed my heart instead of my head in relationships and in business, and it has paid off on both sides of the equation, is that you are going to feel fear. So when you actually make a change to your life and you follow the path that resonates with you, we're not saying there's not going to be fear there. Of course, there's going to be fear. That's what our ego mind does. It tries to protect us and keep us safe, emotionally, physically, financially, everything. And the thing is to allow it. Just allow the fear, acknowledge the fear, welcome the fear. But like the great author Susan Jeffers said, feel the fear and do it anyway. So that would be my point number one, which is just feel it and allow it to come through. And it's okay. It's okay, because there's your higher self knows this is your path. Your higher self knows you're okay. Your higher self knows that every desire that you've ever had will come into fruition. Your higher self already knows that. And so follow the path, where your heart is singing, and acknowledge that there is fear on that path as well, because it's the great unknown, but do it anyway. What would be your number 2, Caryn?
Even before that, you were speaking to me. And I love these conversations. You're speaking to me because I know that in order to write this book that I'm writing with Josh, and it gets to be a bestseller, and it's not a self-published book. It will be published. It will be a bestseller. I know it. I have a knowing. I will be speaking around the world with it. And for some people that may say really crazy. And I also know that in order for this to happen, and I have all the pieces, but in order for this to happen, I get to make time and space to do it. I get to be an author, and I get to make the time and space to listen to Josh, to hear what he wants in the book, also to gather all of my pieces and my thoughts, and to create a bestseller. And that means, because I have both a hypnosis clinic and an online training course to teach other hypnotherapists, that means something gets to give. And that means less clients. And that means space in the morning to connect and listen and write. And that is freaking scary. And you were speaking to me, and it's the fear of it. And I have resisted it for probably 4 months now. I am finally going only online. That will allow me to have less clients, because there are some that want to see only in person. So that will allow me to do that. And it also allow me more time and space to get writing. And my point being is, it's freaking scary. When I think about not having the same income from the clients that I'm seeing, and not being able to help so many people, and spending time writing that doesn't have a guarantee of income right now. I know someday it will. It's scary, and it's moving through that fear. So we all have it. It doesn't matter where we are when we listen to our heart, because I know that's what my heart says. I know that's what God is telling me to do. There's still a lot of fear. So I love that.
Yeah. And I think that is your number 2, which is create space. I think you've said it, because you said it earlier and you said it now. And I think that's true. So just to reiterate, and I really want to talk more about creating space. So the first point being is just really just connecting into what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and knowing that what feels good is the path of your purpose, and feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And the second part is, okay, now let's create space. And so for me, I did that big time last year, and it was absolutely terrifying, because I let go of lucrative income streams on the basis of a dream. And so I did that the first time around, 13 years ago, when I left the corporate world after being there for 22 years, and then got into hypnotherapy. And then I had to do it again, just after I had established myself in the industry as a leader, as a mentor, as the person who already had credibility. Here I am starting in the personal development space again, basically without any proof that I can assist, I can help, I can support, I can guide, but knowing that I can. And so I had to create space, because if I'm so busy in my day that I can't meditate, that I can't go for a walk, that I can't get to the gym, that I can't organize this opportunity with you, then what am I doing? I'm just still operating in lack, saying, but I have to do this because this is what pays the bills. And so has my income slashed after I decided to let go of a number of income streams? Yes. Am I still okay? Yes. You will always be supported by the universe when you're following your path and your purpose. You always will be. It's guaranteed. You don't have to worry about the how, like Mike Dooley says, the cursed hows. You don't have to worry about the how. It just works out. It just works out.
And it's a big leap. It's a big leap of faith, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Just this morning, I finished a conversation with a finance group that wanted me to speak to their group of financial managers about mental health. And I didn't go looking for them. They just came to me. So that's how the universe works.
Yeah.
It just works out that way. And so we just need to have that faith.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And faith that's how we connect with our loved ones on the other side. That's how we, I remember shortly after Josh died, the faith of that he is there. I was taking a walk and reflecting on things. And I thought, he used to text me all the time. So the same communication that I'm getting from him is like a text. He would text me and I would know he was on the other side and I would be able to respond. And the communication that we can have with our loved ones is very similar. You don't get the text on your phone, but you get the download, you get the message, and then you can speak back to them. And it's so beautiful. And it's the same concept. It's through the airwaves. It's being open to it. And that's that faith piece, right? That faith, space, openness.
Yeah, because we're always being spoken to. And it could be our loved ones, it could be our family of light, it could be our guides, it could be our angels, but we are always spoken to. Every single one of us has a team on the other side that supports us. We are not alone. So even if you think that you don't have many people in your life in the physical world, you have a whole team of, a family of light on the other side, which maybe consist of ancestors, may consist of family that have passed, may consist of beings that are not in your conscious awareness, but they have been selected by you before you came into this earth to help you, to assist you. The thing is, and this is with the creating space is so important, is that you need to actually allow the space to hear the words. Because they cannot, it's like if you can imagine a room which is really noisy and we're trying to speak to somebody while somebody else has got earphones on, they're on Netflix, they're on Xbox, they're doing all sorts of things, they're in some other drama, and then your guides are trying to say, hey, but they can't hear. So we need to create that silence so that we can actually go in and actually listen.
Yeah. And interesting, I'm guilty of the not listening sometimes, because I'm also guilty of what you were speaking of, is the doing. And I have to do this, and I have to send that email, and I have to proof these emails, and I have to get this funnel ready, and I have to send this to this client, and the busy. And sometimes, because I haven't created space, which is why the book is just getting started now, I will have a whole entire week and I'll be sitting on the couch and I'll think, I haven't connected with Josh this entire week. And I know it's not because he's not there. I know it's not because he's not trying. He hasn't even sent me signs in a week, is what I think. And then I'm like, you know what? It's because I'm not creating the space to hear him, to see him, to connect with him, to see the signs, to hear the messages, because I'm guilty of being in the doing all the time. And you have to create that space in order to hear the messages, just what you were saying. Number 3.
Absolutely. But I do want to say, Caryn, that in terms of guilty, because that's a consciousness that we need to actually be focused on in terms of what does that mean? Yes. And what that means is that you're actually judging yourself. And so we need to be aware that in the space of doing that you were doing, let that be okay, because that's where you were at that moment. Because that was your consciousness level at that moment. It's not wrong. It just was. Yes. It's like we feel guilty because we don't go to the gym. It's okay. It means on that day you honored something else, another part of you. So when you're actually doing, you're honoring that part of you that just wanted to get something else done, and it's okay. So we don't have to feel bad for not creating space. It's all about awareness. Like, just be aware, first of all. Like, what are the stories that you're saying to yourself about why you can't create space? Just be aware in the very first instance. And so just to summarize, listening to your body, because your body gives you all the messages. When it feels good, follow that feeling, follow the energy, follow the energy. Secondly, allow the fear to come in and just do it anyway. Thirdly, create the space to give you the opportunity to sit in silence, to listen to the messages. And then finally, when you do take action, you will be blown away by how much you are supported by the universe. Because you take one step forward, the universe is going to then reward you by taking its own action from somewhere that you never expected. That just comes your way.
Yeah. Yes. And to expand on that just a bit is the dropping into your heart. When you're listening to the message, drop into your heart. They're right there. Drop into your heart and your gut, out of your head, heart and gut. That's how you hear them.
Yeah. And how do we drop into our gut? There's so many ways. It's all about opening our heart chakra. So it could be in meditation where we're just in the silence. It could be dancing. It could be singing. It could be playing a musical instrument. It's anything that doesn't use this. It's everything that uses this. So whatever it is for you that you enjoy doing, do that more, whatever it is. Because that's the space when we're using that part of us that is joyful, we're using the part of us that's creative, and that part of us opens up to our purpose. So it's all about doing the things that we love doing. Whereas we've come from a society where it's like, whether you like it or not, you got to do it to succeed.
It's doing the have-tos instead. Yeah.
That's the old way of thinking. That's the old way of teaching. That's the old way of coaching, of like, I used to teach that. For many, many years, I taught that. It was all about, it doesn't matter whether I used to say to my students, it doesn't matter whether you like going on Facebook or not, just go on it. If you're serious about being successful, this is what you got to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the way that I did it. So you can do it too. But we have moved on from that. And now it's all about really doing what you love more than anything in the world, and trusting that it'll all work out exactly the way it needs to.
Yes. And there's time for everything that you truly love when you open up to it. Yeah. I remind myself of that. Yes.
Yeah. It's a process. Like, it's not that easy to go from this to this. You do need to, it's an unraveling of programming. It took me a long time to be able to relax, like a long time, a year to be able to truly relax. And
a year of practice, right?
A year of practice, of intention, and being aware of the guilt and letting go of the guilt, being aware of the guilt, letting go of the guilt. So but it is a decision away. So this is the time, guys, to follow your heart, to lean into your purpose, because every single one of you, and especially if you're attracted to this channel, every single one of you has a purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
What else would you like to say on that before we close up, Caryn?
I feel complete. What I know is a lot of people don't know their purpose, and that's okay. That is what I would like to end with. That's okay. Be open to where your heart is guiding you, and you will be headed toward your purpose, even if you don't have a specific knowing. As long as you're following your heart, your path will lead you there.
Perfect. And as well as that, it's not for somebody else to tell you what it is. It's all inside you. It's all inside you. Everything, it's in your DNA. Everything that you're here to do is already who you are. And usually the challenges that you've had and the strengths that you have are all the magical web that weave into.
Yes, the web.
I was thinking the same thing, as I would never have wished
for my son to pass away at 23. And it's part of my journey. And I realize that as part of my learnings, and I am a different person because of it. And in many good ways. In fact, the name of my book is The Unimaginable Gift of Losing a Child. And it's unimaginable. And yet it's been, as hard as it was, it's been a gift. And I get to use that gift. And that's part of our journey, is what did we learn from it and what can we do with it?
Beautiful. Yeah. So your challenges, believe it or not, are part of your purpose. They are part of your purpose. Every single challenge that you've experienced, no matter how difficult the pain and the suffering. And like we said, we're not saying that we wish those challenges on you, but they've happened for a reason. And so it's about what is it that from that challenge that you can then bring to the people in the world, to humanity. What have you learned that you can now share? So yes. If this episode was something that you resonate with, if you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to this channel. We're going to be coming to you every week with a different topic, and it's just about soul sisters getting real. That's all it is.
Yep. Get real with us.